Academy's got you covered. And they support the show. They are a longtime partner of ours. They've made this show able to be presented free of charge. So, academy.com if you can't get there in person, Academy if you can. We would appreciate it. I appreciate it. I don't appreciate the AP poll this week. The AP poll is utter trash this week. Hypocrisy knows no bounds when it comes to the AP poll, much like Doc Holliday, but in a very uncool kind of way. So this thing just got released. This pile of trash gets dropped in my lap as soon as I get in the office today. I don't participate in the AP poll. That's why I invented the commissioner's poll, my rankings, which I'll be dropping every Thursday around here. In the meantime, this is what you have to hold you over. The good news is Ohio State's where they should be. They're number 1. Penn State's number 2. LSU 3. Oregon jumps 2 spots to 4 after a sacrifice of Mike Gundy on live television. And Miami's 5th. Georgia drops 2 spots. Texas is 7. Now, let me ask you this. Notre Dame, Illinois, FSU's 10th. Why is FSU 10th? What in the world has Texas done more impressive than Florida State? Florida State pantsed Alabama. They body bagged a directional school yesterday, but that they did exactly what an elite team would do against a directional school. Why is Florida State where they are? Of course, the answer is the preseason expectation of them. This is, and forever will be, my fundamental issue with AP logic. And it's why I don't really get involved with it and why I chose to do the JP poll instead. Because if you're gonna define preseason expectations and then refuse to divorce yourself from them, even after you've had multiple weeks of results, why don't you just do power ratings? Why don't you just do neutral field favorability at that point? You're kind of doing it anyway. You just don't realize you're doing it. You're probably not smart enough to do it and make any money on it. Florida State's at 10. Texas is at 7. That's dumb. I move on. South Carolina's at 11, yet Vanderbilt's unranked. They play this week in Columbia, by the way. South Carolina less than a touchdown favorite at home against Vandy. That sound you hear is an alarm bell in your own head. Because you know that's not what point spreads in the SEC are supposed to look like. We'll save that for the Tuesday prediction show. But in the meantime, I will ask you again. Why is South Carolina sitting at 11 and Vandy is not ranked? You heard me right. Vanderbilt's not ranked. Vandy went to Blacksburg, Virginia yesterday and outgained Virginia Tech by 300 in the second half. That's the same Virginia Tech that South Carolina needed special teams fireworks to beat in a neutral site in week 1. Yet one of them's ranked 11th and the other one's unranked. Why is that? It's because one's Vanderbilt. If I were to dress Vanderbilt's resume up in Alabama clothes, Vanderbilt would be a top 5 team. But they're not because they're Vanderbilt. Because this entire process is corrupt. And as the future commissioner of this sport, I will take over the AP poll when the time comes. But until then, I'm going to call out the corruption. We cannot live in a country like this. Clemson dropped 4 spots to 12, which is still way too high based on what I've actually seen from Clemson. OU is up 5. They're at 13. Iowa State 14. Tennessee's at 15th. Now, I don't have a problem with Tennessee at 15. They already should have been that high. My question for the esteemed members of the AP voting pool here is why did Tennessee jump 7 spots yesterday instead of the week before? We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor. Look down. Make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video. Tennessee beat ETSU yesterday, and that was enough to vault them 7 spots. You know, I'll tell you what happened. It's the same thing that happened with Utah at number 20, who beat something called Cal Poly and jumped 5 spots. What happened was, finally, these people got called out publicly and shamed publicly and mocked publicly for the ridiculous rankings of teams like Utah at 25 and Tennessee. And so they made up for it a week later, regardless of who they played. I can't help but feel partially responsible, by the way. USF is number 18. Again, they have 2 ranked wins. They're like the only team out there who can say that. They beat Boise emphatically. They just went into Gainesville and beat Florida. Again, if I put Alabama clothes on that resume, they may be number one. They literally may be the number one team in the country if they were to have done that. But since Bama didn't do it, since Penn State didn't do it, since little South Florida, poor Alex Golesh in South Florida, since it's just them, 18. And you know what? It's almost like they said, you'll be 18 and you'll be happy with 18. We don't even have to let you in here. This is like the folks in the gated community that invite you over for the Christmas party and they text you the code. They don't even have to let you in. They're inviting you in. They're allowing you to. It's like the AP folks sent South Florida the gate code and just be happy you're in here. Dumb. Stupidity. Drugs. Bama's 19th. Okay. They're up 2 spots. I don't know that I'd have them ranked yet, but that's okay. Texas Tech, Indiana. Michigan dropped 8 spots. I got no clue why Michigan's ranked right now. Yeah, I do. They were ranked in the preseason, so we can't drop them too far. Now, they played New Mexico, and it was a real bleh effort, and then they got beat by double dig yesterday in Oklahoma. That's it. That's their body of work right now. So they're sitting there ranked, and Vandy's not. They're sitting there ranked, and Georgia Tech's not. They're sitting there ranked, and USC is not. USC's a big brand name. I am puzzled, by the way, by a group of people that normally looks for any excuse to rank USC, and I'm the only one standing up for USC right now? Formerly Pac-12 Pate, formerly Pac-10 Pate, the only one willing to stand on the table for USC. What has happened around here? Missouri's ranked, at least. Auburn finally ranked. So I ask, like, what does a Vanderbilt have to do? Can you imagine? Vandy would have to go and probably compete with or outright beat the Green Bay Packers today. And they'd need to do it in Lambeau if Vandy were to crack the top 10. South Florida probably does that. Best we can do is like 15th. I mean, you are South Florida. Doesn't matter that you just beat an NFL team. Because do you know what your preseason ranking was? These people, they never cease to amaze me. They're watching us in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Montego Bay, Jamaica, nice, and Sugar Land, Texas.